Some places don't stay haunted, they stay hungry. Late at night, when the classrooms empty out and the bell stops ringing, something else takes up residence in the halls. These aren't just ghost stories. These are documented sightings, whispered faculty warnings, and erased footage the district never wanted the public to see. From a cursed hallway security feed, to a janitor who vanished mid-shift, to a night class that ended with one less student than it started. These are 3 terrifying school encounters that all point to one thing. The Hollow Man walks the halls long after the last bell. Story 1, The Last Tape. The school had always been old, but something about seeing it on grainy black and white security footage made it feel older, like a relic that didn't belong in our time anymore. I was part of the overnight custodial staff during the summer prep season, just a week before the students were due back. That night, I was assigned to sweep through the West Wing and audit the cameras afterward. Standard policy, since a lot of the security tech was outdated and prone to glitches. Most nights were uneventful. That night wasn't. I remember starting with the gym. The lights were already flickering, probably due to the faulty motion sensors they kept promising to replace. I cleaned, locked up, and made my way to the security office, down the long hallway past the trophy cases. The screens showed the usual static, but one camera, Cam 3, aimed down the freshman hall, kept cutting in and out. I toggled through it a few times. Then I saw it, just for a moment. A tall figure standing in the middle of the hall, too far from the camera to be recognizable. No janitor shirt, no ID lanyard, just standing. I paused the playback, rewound, played it again, and this time something moved. The figure tilted its head. Not like a person checking a sound, more like something realizing it had been seen. I called over Omar, my coworker, to take a look, but when I replayed the tape, the frame was empty. The hallway was clean. Still, no figure. Omar rolled his eyes and asked how much sleep I got the night before, so I waited until he left for the east side, then replayed the feed. Again the figure appeared, but now it was closer, maybe halfway down the hall. It never walked, never turned, just seemed to shift, like each frame brought it a few feet forward. I watched, transfixed, as it inched toward the camera across 20 seconds of shaky footage. The last frame before it cut to black was the figure's face, or what should have been a face. It shimmered, glitched, like it wasn't being recorded properly, like it didn't want to be. The feed snapped off. Static swallowed the screen. All cameras dropped at once. I thought the system crashed until the emergency hall lights flickered too. I left the room, fast. Every light in the freshman wing dimmed one by one behind me as I walked toward the main foyer. My radio buzzed. It was Omar. His voice was clipped, shaky. "Bro, are you messing with me? Someone just walked past the gym with a flashlight." I asked him what he saw. Tall guy, no badge, just walked past the bleachers like he belonged there. Then he vanished into the locker room. I followed, but it was empty. We regrouped near the front office. I was about to suggest we check the tape again, when the TVs in the break room turned on by themselves. Not the security feeds, just black screens, except one showed the freshman hallway, pre-recorded. Except we were both standing there in the feed, from behind. Neither of us moved. We watched the footage in silence as the camera zoomed in on us without panning, like something crawled closer. The figure came into view behind us. It looked pixelated, almost like corrupted video data. It raised a hand and pressed it against the screen. My ears rang. Omar shouted something I didn't catch. The screen shattered. We ran, left the office behind, set off the fire alarm just to wake up the neighborhood and force an investigation. Police showed up within minutes. They found no sign of forced entry, no broken monitors, no tampered footage. But they did find something new, a security tape we hadn't seen before, left on the front desk. The timestamp? 2 nights from now. I haven't gone back to the school since, but I've heard rumors. Students saying they see a man standing still on the monitors, but he's never there in real life. One janitor quit after seeing a face in a darkened trophy case that didn't match any student. They say the camera doesn't just record what's real, it invites something in. I believe them, because the last image that played on our tape, the one with the future timestamp, was of me, standing alone in the hallway, with a hand reaching down from above the frame. Stories like this have been submitted by viewers who claim the Hollow Man followed them. If anything strange has happened to you, leave it in the comments. Story 2, the janitor in detention. The Saturday detention list was short, just 4 names scrawled on a clipboard taped outside room 103. I was the fill-in supervisor that day, a substitute history teacher who'd drawn the short straw when the principal bailed for a family emergency. The students trickled in around 8:15 a.m., none of them thrilled. At 8:29, I signed the sheet, checked the hallway for stragglers, and shut the door. The rules were simple. No phones, no talking, just reflection and some assigned busy work. We were halfway through the first hour when the janitor, Mr. Easton, peeked in and gave me a 2-finger wave. I nodded back. He was well known around the school, quiet, polite, probably in his late 50s. Rumor had it he'd worked at the school longer than any of the administrators. Lately, he'd started lingering in empty classrooms, sweeping areas that didn't need it, walking past the same lockers over and over like he was memorizing them. At 9:02, I stepped into the hallway to stretch my legs and grab a soda from the vending machine. As I rounded the corner, I saw Easton again. But something was off. He was holding his mop upright, unmoving, just outside the art room. His head tilted slightly, like he was listening for something. I called out. No response. He stood perfectly still, like a mannequin. I took a step closer, and then he was gone. Just gone. No footsteps, no creaking door, no wet trail on the floor. I returned to 103, shaken. The students looked up but didn't ask. One of them, Mika, pointed toward the back corner of the room and whispered, "He was just there." I turned. Nothing but empty seats. I asked her what she meant. She said the janitor came in while I was gone. Didn't say anything. Just mopped a dry patch in the corner and stared at the wall for a full minute before leaving without a word. Another student chimed in, said he heard whispering, but assumed it was from the vents. I checked the hall again, still empty, but there was a strange sound echoing, something between a hum and a whistle. I followed it toward the stairwell, descending into the basement maintenance level. The air felt colder there, like the concrete had been sweating. That's when I found his cart, still stocked, mop bucket full, gloves draped neatly over the edge, but his ID badge was floating in the water. I grabbed the walkie-talkie from the main hallway and radioed the front office, only to remember they were closed on weekends. I tried calling the district. No answer. So I returned upstairs and made the decision to end detention early. The kids didn't argue. As we walked down the corridor toward the main exit, the fire doors slammed shut behind us. Every light flickered off. The hum returned, stronger this time. Then footsteps, slow, heavy, mopping. We turned and saw the silhouette of Easton at the far end of the hall. But it wasn't Easton anymore. The figure was taller now, his arms too long, head brushing the ceiling tiles. The mop dragged behind him, but the floor remained dry. He didn't speak. He didn't need to. We all felt it. This wasn't someone we could explain away. This was something that had waited, maybe for years. We sprinted to the side exit only to find the glass doors sealed shut. I kicked, pounded, even tried fire protocol overrides. Behind us, the mop dragged closer. Then it stopped. We turned. The hallway was empty again, but a puddle had appeared, small, circular, with no clear source. Inside it was a reflection, not of the ceiling, but of the maintenance floor below us. And in it was Easton, face up, eyes wide. 2 weeks passed before they officially declared him missing. His cart stayed in the basement for months until someone finally removed it. But every now and then, a janitor reports lights flickering when they mop near room 103. One even said the floors were clean before he got there, but still damp, like someone had been through already. I've transferred to another district. Still teach history, still drink vending machine sodas during long days. But anytime I hear the soft squeak of rubber on tile, I freeze, because I swear I can hear the mop again, and something beneath it humming, waiting. If you're still watching, you're not alone. Most people turn this off by now, But you want to see what happens next. Maybe you should stick around, or subscribe before it gets worse. Story 3, One Chair Empty. It was a night class for adults, GED prep, second chances, and a chance to avoid graveyard shifts. Most students were older, quiet, focused, the kind of people who didn't complain when the lights flickered or when the heating didn't work. I had 10 on my roster that night. I counted them twice. The same 10 I'd had all semester. That was important. I needed to be sure. The building echoed differently after hours. During the day, voices and lockers swallowed the sounds. But at night, every shuffle of paper, every cough or creak in the tile had weight. That night, the lesson was essay structure. 5 paragraphs, intro and thesis, body, conclusion. I remember writing it on the board and turning back to see someone I didn't recognize sitting in the far corner. Desk 11. There was no desk 11 when I started the lesson. I checked my sheet again. 10 students, 10 desks. But now, there were 11. And a man in a long coat sitting silent, facing forward. His hands rested on the desk like he'd always been there. No paper, no pen, just still. I didn't say anything at first. Didn't want to embarrass a walk-in or spook a student. But I did glance toward Teresa, the woman who usually sat closest to that corner. Her chair had shifted, like she'd moved away from him without getting up. When I finally asked for introductions, as we always did when someone new joined, the man didn't speak. He didn't even look up. I called roll again. 10 names, 10 voices, but no one claimed the 11th seat. I asked who he was. Silence. Then one student, Ben, muttered, "He was already here when I got in. I thought he was yours." I walked toward him slowly, his head tilted as I approached, but not to look at me. More like he was angling to avoid being seen, like he wanted to remain half in shadow. His coat shimmered faintly, like smoke under glass. I stopped a few feet away and asked if he was lost. Still nothing. Then he stood up, not quickly, not threateningly, just enough to make the desk creak and the lights dim. One of the fluorescents above us popped. The room went cold. The door slammed without anyone touching it. Locked. I tried it. No movement. The other students were whispering, their chairs scraping slowly away from the center of the room. The man turned to face the whiteboard, not us, and began writing with one long finger. I don't know what he was writing. The marker wasn't in his hand, but letters appeared. At first they looked like English, then they weren't. It didn't take long for the panic to rise. Teresa tried to call 911, but her phone only showed a timer. Not a call, just counting up from 0. Someone screamed. That broke the spell. The man turned, but instead of a face, there was a void, a blank. Not masked, not hidden, just absent. His shoulders stretched unnaturally wide, and the shadows from the ceiling gathered around his frame. I shouted for everyone to move, to push the desks if they had to. Ben threw a chair through the window panel on the door. It didn't shatter. It bent inward like rubber, absorbing the impact. The man didn't chase us. He didn't need to. He just walked to the center of the room and sat in a chair that hadn't been there when we arrived. One by one, the lights returned. The phones worked again. The door opened. But when we filed out and I counted my students, only 9 were there. Teresa was gone. Her bag remained. Her notes. Even her half-empty thermos. But she wasn't. And no one could remember when exactly she'd vanished. Just that one moment she was backing away. And the next, the desk was empty. As if she'd been erased from the room, the roll sheet, even memory. I reviewed the footage from the hallway later that week, thinking maybe she ran off. But all it showed was 10 people walking into the room, 9 leaving. No 11th man. No desk 11. Nothing but flickers in the feed whenever the camera passed by the room. Now, whenever someone new shows up to class and sits quietly in the back, I check the roster twice. I count the chairs. I remember Teresa. And sometimes, if I forget myself, I catch sight of desk 11 again. Just for a second. Still warm. Still waiting. New horror drops every Hollow Wednesday. Subscribe. before he finds someone else.